Hey, what's happening, guys? Elton McFall here with a wasp or a hornet right next to me. That's just great because of all the bloody rain we had this summer. I already sort of struggled to find a spot to film this thing. I had some place in mind before, a couple of blocks from my place, but it was actually like a back alley of some stores, and there was these old, all these doors behind them, and there were these like, those round ventilation vintage units, are like made of aluminum. And then this kid starts wailing, man, screaming, crying, and all that. Oh man! So I'm like, and anyway, I was right on the ground anyway. It wasn't comfortable, right on the asphalt with dirt, and um, and then I noticed like these green garbage bins that were like way too close to this truck. And then I see the bumper of a whatever car that I'm next to. I'm like, so I'm like, well, that's it for that. So here we are. I'm in an alleyway. Actually, that's actually a very nice alleyway, and this is really more of a representation how much this part of town has changed. Imagine, you go back a decade, this probably wouldn't have looked too good, to be honest with you. There was no way to be all these plants here and all this stuff, and it's very nice. It's very nicely done. Spins a really nice positive aspect to this part of town that was years ago. A lot of people would have said it was a shithole, but hey, I've been living here 10 years, so you can do a lot worse in this part of town, believe me. So anyway, yeah, this is a 50 Chevy that, one of you guys sent to me from Alberta months ago. I don't remember your name. I'm sorry, dude. I know you sent me also a 72 Chevy Cheyenne pickup that I got to make a plan to build someday, but I figure you'd be happy to see this. This is what you call a kit bash, like I've done with most of my models, which means it's mostly, a lot of it is original, but the rear loader there, that rear loader as a garbage truck, that's actually from another kit I bought years ago at Udisco, and I'm going to show you that right now. Just give me a second, guys. So you see, there's the AMT 50 Chevy pickup, and of course this was known as the advanced designed years. That's what GM called these. They were made this generation from 48 to 54. And then this is the one I bought. I really literally just bought this for this, what's called a rear loader. It's a rear loader for trash. I don't really give a shit about any of this, but some of that stuff can come useful for other models, especially wheels and tires and stuff like that. And I hear some people behind me talking in English, which years ago you would have never heard around here. Now it's become the norm. And hopefully they're going to keep moving along, because or else they're going to throw me off in my video. Because I like to make these videos, you know what I mean? Like, look, I'm at a point now as a YouTuber. I've been doing this, for many years. I make peanuts doing this. So at least now I make this stuff, these videos, like as if I'm making a ton of money, especially when I build these models and present them, and also my paintings as well. Never mind all the other stuff. The other stuff is like, it's kind of secondary, you know what I mean? That stuff is only improved in terms of maybe better camera, or cameras, and me not swearing so much or talking about politics. So let's get a better look at this beauty. Now that light yellow, that's actually from a paint I bought years ago. If you remember that American La France, not La France, fire truck that I bought years ago. So I had a lot left over because it was a paint I bought from good old Canadian Tire. This is really a straightforward type of rear loader to put together. It's just in a few pieces. This is actually a door that would open. It would swing open, as you can see in the illustration. And the tail lights I added from the pickup kit. The license plates are from that pickup kit. All that writing, that Acme sanitation, I did that all myself. Not easy to do, by the way. Not quick. Not a quick job. Now, I hear that dog whimpering. It's, jeez. God, I'm telling you, to be autistic sometimes, or Asperger or whatever, it's for the birds, man. It's for the birds. So there's just a couple of coats of silver on there, a couple of coats on the yellow, which I was very happy with this paint job, by the way. Last time I used that for that Chevy Nomad for the roof, that bombed on me because of the fact that the nozzle wasn't clear, so it came out all splattery. So I changed the nozzle, and there you go. Let's get this over here a bit. That's a nice backdrop. I saw it right away. I said it's on this elevated ledge. I said, this is beautiful. Oh boy, that doesn't sound right, eh? Anyway, so now we'll look at this. I don't know if it's a 216 or 230 cubic inch straight 6-cylinder. A few years later in '53, the Corvette came out, had the exact same motor, known also as the legendary cast iron wonder, and the Stovebolt 6, made for decades, you know. Looks good. Actually, I used a bit of artist white paint, artist, like, you know, painting on canvas like I do my, sometimes I do that, you know. I didn't feel like going to buy like a light yellow, light blue paint, because we almost have no hobby shops left, so I just took this dark metallic blue I had and mixed it with the acrylic paint, and there you go. Also, what I did is I stripped the bumper of chrome, which I hadn't done in a long time, but I figured a chrome bumper for a garbage truck would look a little bit convoluted, wouldn't it? Can you really see inside or no? You can't really see too well inside, eh? It's probably... Let's try to show you the best I can. Steering wheel won't sit straight, and also the another thing I don't like too about this model is that the carburetor and air cleaner bowl, they don't sit leveled. If you see, I don't know why. See, I always had to like push them back. Those lights, those daytime running lights, I added those on actually. And the mirror was also chrome. I painted it black. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, very importantly, the wheels, the front wheels and tires, those are stock. Of course, they come with the hubcaps. I didn't put them, because generally speaking, this is a medium heavy duty truck, so the wheels would have been larger, but I didn't have larger rims like the type, you know, the heavy truck rims. So what I did is, you've noticed, you guys who build models, those are drag slicks. Used to have on drag cars, hot rods. I figured, well, the rims are, and they're larger, so they'll suit this model, even though it's not accurate. Now, also another thing I want to finish my making, because I'm, you know, I hear too well. Like I hear somebody coughing nonstop there. It's probably a smoker, the old Hochelaga hack. And what happened, what was interesting about this model, is that when I tested assembled the cab and put it on the frame, when I put the rear loader part on there, and I noticed, I'm like, wait a minute, why does this thing look like a Mexican truck? Meaning that I forgot, looking at a picture, I have a reprint photo of a Montreal garbage truck from back in those days, 50s, early 50s, and I'm like, wait a minute, like the wheels are supposed to be farther back. So I'm like, shit, I'm like, now, being a perfectionist, right? Because, you know, when you do this, generally, people do this, build cars all the time, make models, paint things or whatever, you strive for perfection. Whoa, it's hot this morning. So what I did is, luckily, I use a kind of, you know, a cheap dollar store glue, which now they stopped selling. And I took off the springs, the leaf springs and the differential, pulled that off, cut the leaf springs on both sides to make them shorter. I cut also the frame rails at the back, maybe an inch. And there you go, I was able to move all that back. It's not perfect, obviously, it's kind of a hack job, but hey, it did the trick, you know? And actually, even as we speak, although this rear loader, it fits perfectly, it's actually not, it's not glued perfectly on the frame, but it really works well. And I forgot to mention that decal, by the way. Yeah, I added that on, seeing so many of those on modern trucks, because look, it was on an optional for the front bumper. You'd have like this push bumper that service stations had, you know, on these trucks, especially back in the day, and they push cars into the garage and stuff like that. So, and yeah, that's about it. I think I've said everything I wanted to say about that. It's not the background I wanted to film with, because it's a little too nice, but whatever. It's a nice truck. I could have made it like, you know, weathered and patina and dirty and greasy and all that. I'm like, whatever. It's nice and clean. It's a nice, clean looking truck. It's typical of those days. And you know, again, when I bought this model here, again, I think it was like 2017. I've already had it a few years, and I used to have a lot more model cars and trucks, and I sold a lot of them years ago on eBay. And so I was like, shit, you know, I had like a 53 Ford I could have used for this, because this type of rear loader garbage truck, this came out like in the, you know, like late 40s, and this made into like, I think the early 60s, and then they became bigger. They didn't have a door in the back, you know, all this stuff. So it's, you know, when you're meticulous, I'm not going to use a 60 Chevy as I thought I would originally, and, you know, all that stuff. So Anyway, that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and I know I did. And great model kit. It's a thumbs up for me because, of course, AMT has always had my favorite type of models. Whoops, forgot about I hit stop record for a second by error. And oh yeah, and they had these little, I forgot to mention, there were these two little filler pieces. You see right here at the bottom of the hood there, right behind the fender, were these two little filler pieces. I never found them. And also, I also forgot to mention that the part of the exhaust pipe right here that goes from the muffler to the manifold was missing in action. I don't know if it was my fault or whatever, but so I took some like a wire paper clip and I just sort of pulled it apart and painted it up a couple of times, and voila, just, you know, whatever, it does the job. And yeah, very happy with it, man. It's very, very cool. And after this, I'm not going to keep it a surprise. The next model I'm going to do, I thought was going to be a 39 Chevy I've had a few years. It's a lowrider kit, but it won't be a lowrider kit probably. I don't know. But no, actually I want to do something different. So I'm going to make an 87 Thunderbird Turbo Coupe that I have. Why? Because it's different. I love Thunderbirds. And I'm from the 80s. And actually, frankly, I don't remember seeing many of those cars at all. There were, you know, there were a lot of cars. They were special cars, and they were, you know, they weren't made a lot, you know, because they weren't practical. And I remember even one morning, over 30 years ago, living in the West Island there, living in the burbs, living with my mom and my brother. I was waiting one morning, I think, for the bus, I think, or I don't know, I was waiting one night with my friend for the bus, and here comes this Turbo Coupe Thunderbird. And again, those years, 87, 88, 89, and it was like dark green. The thing was mint. But the reason why those cars were a failure, along with the Mustang SVO, was because it only had a 4-cylinder. So yeah, okay, it had a turbo, but it wasn't a good motor, you know. And it's funny I talk about good motors because, like I said, this is legendary. I mean, even when I went to Cuba in 2007, there were still Chevrolets running these engines. Versus most classic cars down there, they're run by Lada diesel engines and Hyundais and Toyota, whatever, just to be cheap on gas. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, now that I've made this a long-winded thing for you, which is fine because that's what I'm good at. Thanks for watching. Take care, guys, and find me on Patreon. I put exclusive photos, and you can chip in there. It'd be much appreciated for a poor guy like me from Montreal. Want to chip in a couple of bucks a month? That'd be fantastic. And take care, and my God, it's a beautiful day. I think I might go for a bike ride with Grant later. So, take care. Hasta luego. Sayonara.